that is victorious for our heritage, our tradition, our future. Today, we become legends.
In this episode of Mutual and Federal Premier Interschools Rugby, we look ahead to this Saturday's derby between Bishops and Rondebosch, live on SuperSport. The Diocesan College, better known as Bishops, is the unofficial home of rugby in South Africa. The first team is widely renowned for their exciting style of running rugby and numberless jerseys, emphasizing that rugby is a team game.
South African rugby culture is hugely indebted to Bishops in terms of the fact that this is where it all started. It wasn't rugby as we know today, but it certainly was the forerunner of rugby. In the early years, Bishops played in the Grand Challenge because rugby was not determined by age or weight. So the school sides played in the Grand Challenge in the league.
There's massive history. I wasn't a Bishop's boy myself, but it took me no time to understand and appreciate the history of that jersey that you've referred to, the Piley Reese field, and indeed the history between our two schools, Bosch and Bishops.
First recorded rugby match in South Africa was between Bishops and Sax in 1862. But although Sax is our longest rival, Rondebosch is considered to be our fiercest rival, and that's what we call our derby fixture. It's a very close rivalry, but competitive, but normally played in great spirit and normally great camaraderie, not only on the field, but between parents and old boys at the school as well.
It's a great rugby school. It was a place where they encouraged freedom of expression, and I came there from Wynberg, which was very different in terms of their approach to rugby and the way they believed in their rugby. And just immediately as I arrived at Bishops, I could really see the change in their approach and their philosophy of the way they did things, not only on the rugby field but off it. The first time that I wore the jersey was back in '92. I was in Standard 9. I remember Basil Bay coming up to me and saying that I'd been selected for the first team. I remember he had to give the permission for me to go buy the first team jersey. And donning that jersey, staying the night in the boarding school the night before the game, waking up with the team, having breakfast, and the whole build-up to the match was something special.
Before Bosch, there is always a special sort of feeling in the school. There's tremendous excitement from the under-14s all the way through. It's a massive day for us. It's a massive week.
The whole Bosch derby has gone on for 100+ years. It's a massive tradition behind it, and I can just remember my first one that I had last year. It was just it's overwhelming to go out there and run in front of the ODs and in front of the whole schools. So yeah, it's a massive occasion, and I hope that we can live up to it and do it well.
Volgens mij heb ik een goede keuze gemaakt om naar Bishops te komen. Van mijn rugby is op een hoger level. En mijn support hier van die onderwijzers af en die spanspelers is bijna beter dan het bij mijn oude school was. Om samen met die mannen te beginnen spelen voor mijn eerste keer was nogals. Het was voor mij opwindend hoe Bishops rugby is als ik nu kijk tegen die andere scholen rugby. En ik vind het bijna beter en lekkerder om samen met alle te spelen en Bishops rugby te spelen.
The Western Province Premier Schools League, I think, has to be it's definitely the toughest in the country, and I'd say worldwide, in regard to the quality of the sides that we play week in, week out. The schools here, the 10, 12 top schools, all seem to have upped their game to a level where there's no certainty. There's absolutely no certainty. Anything can happen on the day, and we've seen it already.
The Bishops Rondebosch game is one of the biggest schoolboy games in the country. I think that over the years it's been a massive rivalry between the two sides, but a healthy one and a respectable one.
A lot of the guys looking for province and that kind of thing in their rugby careers. This is a really big step for them, and I mean the school sports at the moment in South Africa is just getting bigger and bigger, and televising of schoolboy rugby is really making it a huge attribute to networks on television, and boys are really up for it. I tell you, it really fires them up.
I think there's just too much pressure on schoolboy rugby as it is, and it's our job as heads and leaders of schools to actually help the boys to keep it in perspective. The fact is that very, very few people can make a living out of professional sport, and particularly rugby, and that fundamentally we're an academic institution that does a whole lot of wonderful things, including playing sport.
I still think that there's something really special about the way school rugby is played. It's an exciting brand of rugby that we see. It brings out crowds that rival provincial games, and so, you know, from that point of view, I think that the boys are really looking forward. It's a wonderful opportunity to be on television, and that certainly does add a bit of pressure. But if they are wanting to take this game any further, that's something they've got to live with and get used to.
The thing about the Rondebosch game on the pilot, it's one that the boys have been dreaming about for their whole rugby career, and especially the home game. This is the one the boys will always remember, and that's all the motivation you need, playing for the man next to you, playing for the badge on your chest, and that's really about it.
We have had a couple of tough years, but this year's side have played with tremendous heart and spirit. They're well coached, well prepared. Dave Mallet is a superb coach technically and a great motivator. And the boys have played really well. I mean, the results haven't always gone our way, and that sometimes happens, but they've shown great commitment and courage, and we expect the same on Saturday against Rondebosch.
We become